When a storm reveals the true character of a man, everything changes. This is the story of Alexander Pierce, a young millionaire who thought he had it all figured out, until one rainy night forced him to confront what really matters. If you believe in second chances and the power of unexpected connections, hit that like button and let me know in the comments what you would have done in his situation. Now let's dive into this incredible journey. Rain hammered Alexander Pierce's Mercedes as he sped through Manhattan. At 32, with a $300 million tech empire, he'd built Pierce Industries by never being late. Tonight, crucial investors waited while thunder cracked overhead. The light turned red. His foot moved toward the accelerator. That's when he spotted her, a young woman stumbling, clutching her pregnant belly. She reached for a storefront and collapsed. Alexander's hands tightened on the wheel. Every thought said drive, call 911. He had investors waiting, $50 million at stake. But her face turned toward passing cars with desperate hope. Something made Alexander yank the wheel right. Damn it, he muttered, pulling to the curb. Through rain-streaked glass he saw her clearly, early 20s, heavily pregnant, wearing a thin soaked jacket. She tried standing but kept slipping. Alexander sat frozen for 5 seconds. Then he pushed open the door. Rain drenched his $2,000 suit as he rushed toward her. "Are you okay?" He crouched beside her, water streaming down his face. Up close she looked younger than he'd thought, exhausted. Green eyes focused on him, filled with pain. "Please," she whispered. "Hospital. The baby. Something's wrong." Her hand gripped his arm. "Don't leave me." "I'm not leaving." He slipped his arm around her shoulders, shocked by how frail she felt. "Can you stand?" "I can't," she gasped in pain, doubling over. "Oh God, it's too early. The baby's coming." Alexander's heart slammed. He'd negotiated million-dollar deals without sweating, but this was beyond him. "We'll get help." He lifted her. She weighed almost nothing, and half-carried her to the Mercedes. Getting her into the back seat was chaos, rain, panic, her cries. Once inside, Alexander started driving fast. "What's your name?" "Emma. Emma Chen. Please hurry." "I'm Alexander. Mount Sinai is 10 minutes away." He pressed the accelerator, hydroplaning slightly. In the mirror, Emma gripped the seat, face twisted in agony. "I don't have insurance," she said, suddenly panicked. "I can't afford this." "Don't worry about that. Just breathe." "You don't understand. I have nothing. No family, no money. I've been in a shelter 3 months. Why did you stop?" Almost accusatory. "Because you needed help." Emma let out a strangled sob. "Nobody stops. Nobody cares about girls like me." Another contraction hit. She screamed. "Almost there," he said, running a red light, 2 blocks away. "Hold on." "I can't do this," Emma whispered, tears mixing with rain. "I'm scared. What if I can't protect her?" "Her?" "Yeah, I'm having a girl." "I was going to name her." She screamed. "Something's wrong." Alexander slammed the brakes at the emergency entrance. "Help! I need help!" 2 nurses rushed out with a wheelchair. They surrounded Emma with rapid questions, blood pressure, contractions. Emma tried answering but screamed instead. "Sir, are you the father?" a nurse asked. "No." "I found her in the rain. She needs help." "We need information." "She doesn't have any. Just help her." Alexander pulled out his platinum card. "Whatever it costs. Charge this." The nurse's eyes widened, but she was already moving. "If you're staying, check in at admissions." "Wait!" Emma's voice cut through everything. She reached toward Alexander. "Don't leave, please. I don't want to be alone." Alexander stood frozen, his ruined suit clinging to him. Every rational thought said leave, but something in Emma's eyes held him. He thought of his mother, who died when he was 12. How she'd said character was revealed in small choices. "I'm not leaving," Alexander said. Relief flooded Emma's face before another contraction twisted it. Inside, bright and warm, Alexander checked in. The woman behind the desk looked at him curiously, designer suit dripping, filling out paperwork for a pregnant stranger. "Relationship to patient?" Alexander hesitated. "Friend." 2 hours passed. Alexander sat in a waiting room, phone buzzing constantly. The gallery opening was over. Investors gone. He should have been angry, But he could only think about Emma's face, her question. "Why did you stop?" A doctor appeared. "Mr. Pierce, you're here for Emma Chen?" Alexander stood fast. "Yes, is she okay?" "Touch and go." The baby came fast with complications, but Emma's stable and the baby's a fighter. 4 pounds, 6 ounces. Premature, but strong. She'll stay in NICU, but I think she'll make it. Relief washed over Alexander. "Can I see them?" "Room 412. But Mr. Pierce, Emma's situation is complicated. Severely malnourished, long-term homelessness. Without support, it's going to be difficult. I'll help, whatever she needs." The doctor studied him. "Helping people isn't simple. Once you start, it's hard to walk away. Are you prepared?" Alexander thought about his orderly life. Then Emma's eyes in the rain. "I'll figure it out." Room 412 was dimly lit. Emma lay in bed, looking impossibly young. Without the rain and panic, Alexander could see she was pretty. Delicate features, those startling green eyes watching him. "You stayed," she said softly. "I thought maybe I'd dreamed you. How are you feeling?" "Like I got hit by a truck," Emma said with a weak laugh. "But my baby's okay." "That's all that matters." Tears filled her eyes. "I can't believe she's here." "Have you seen her?" "Not yet. They're testing her, but they showed me a picture." Emma's face transformed. "She's perfect. What are you naming her?" "Lily. Lily Grace Chen. Grace because this feels like grace, like a miracle." Silence stretched. Finally, Emma spoke. "Why did you really stop? Nobody stops for girls like me." "Maybe they should. Maybe we all should care more." "You don't know me. I could be lying about everything." "Are you?" "No," Emma whispered, "but I could be." "Why risk it?" Alexander shrugged. "Money's not an issue." Emma's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" "The nurses are gossiping. One recognized you from a magazine. I own a tech company, Pierce Industries, software development." "So you're a millionaire?" "Something like that." Emma laughed without humor. "Of course, this is insane." She wiped her eyes. "I don't understand why you're kind. People aren't kind without wanting something." "I don't want anything. I saw you needed help and I could help." "Everything's complicated," Emma said softly. "Once you know my story, you'll leave like everyone else. Rich guys don't hang around girls like me." "Try me. Tell me your story." Emma looked at him for a long moment. Something shifted in her expression. "Okay. But don't say I didn't warn you." As the storm raged outside, as his phone buzzed with ignored messages, as his carefully planned evening lay in ruins, Alexander leaned forward to listen. He had no idea Emma's story would change everything. All he knew was that for the first time in years he felt exactly where he was supposed to be. Emma's story unfolded slowly. Alexander sat listening. "I grew up in Queens, nothing special. My parents owned a small restaurant, worked 16-hour days. I was an only child. They wanted more for me, pushed hard. Straight A's, piano, debate team." "They cared about you," Alexander said. "They did." Emma's voice cracked. "I got into NYU on partial scholarship, pre-med. My parents cried at graduation, said their daughter would be a doctor." "What happened?" "I met him freshman year, Marcus Way, senior, business major, wealthy California family. When he looked at me, I felt like the only person in the world. Not stupid, human. Maybe. We dated 6 months. Charming, attentive. Then I got pregnant." Emma laughed bitterly. "When I told Marcus, everything changed instantly. He left? Worse, he said the baby couldn't be his, that I was trapping him, probably sleeping with other guys." Emma's voice went flat. "He told his parents, who told mine. Showed them party photos, made me look like some wild girl trying to scam their son." Alexander felt anger rising. "Your parents believed them? Traditional, conservative, they'd sacrificed everything. In their eyes, I'd thrown it away, brought shame on the family." Emma's voice broke. "They didn't believe me. They said I was lying." Jesus. "They gave me an ultimatum. Get rid of the baby or get out, the baby or them." Emma looked at him, eyes devastated. "I chose the baby." "That took courage." "Or stupidity." Emma shifted, wincing. I dropped out of NYU, lost scholarship, housing, everything. Worked 3 jobs saving money, but New York is expensive. Lost one job because I couldn't stand 8-hour shifts. Lost another because I kept getting sick. The third, the manager said he couldn't have a pregnant girl serving food. That's illegal. Try fighting that when you're homeless and pregnant. Emma's voice was sharp. I ended up in shelters, waiting lists for everything. I slipped through every crack because I didn't qualify. Too young for some programs, not qualified for others. Alexander listened, horrified. What about Marcus? He's the father. His family has lawyers. When I tried reaching out, they sent a cease and desist threatening harassment charges. Said if I tried claiming paternity, they'd bury me in legal fees. Emma's hands clenched. I couldn't fight them. That's not right. No, but it's reality. Rich people don't face consequences. Girls like me, we're the problems that disappear. Emma closed her eyes. I thought about giving up so many times. But every time I felt Lily kick, I couldn't. She deserved better. The rawness in Emma's voice made Alexander's chest tight. You're not invisible anymore, Alexander said. I see you, and I'm going to help. Emma's eyes snapped open. Why? You could have driven past. Why are you still here? Alexander was quiet. My mother died when I was 12. Cancer. Before she died, she made me promise something. She said the measure of a person wasn't how much money they made. It was how they treated people who couldn't do anything for them in return. I'm sorry about your mother, Emma said softly. She was a good person, better than me. She volunteered at shelters, donated to causes. My father's different. He taught me business is war, kindness is weakness. After Mum died, I became more like him, focused on success, accumulating wealth. Sounds lonely, Emma observed. It was. It is. Alexander ran a hand through his hair. But tonight I saw you and heard my mother's voice. For the first time in years, I wanted to be the person she thought I could be. That's a lot of pressure on a random pregnant stranger, Emma said, but she was almost smiling. Maybe. But I don't feel pressured. I feel awake, like I've been sleepwalking through life. Alexander leaned forward. Emma, I know you don't trust me, but I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to help you get back on your feet, help you care for Lily. Just like that, you're going to swoop in and fix everything. I'm going to try. And when you get bored, what happens to Lily and me? Fair question. I don't know. I can't promise I'll do everything right. But I can promise I won't abandon you. Whatever help you need, I'm committed. Emma studied him. Finally, she nodded slowly. Okay. But understand something. I'm not a charity case. If we do this, it's a partnership. I might be down, but I'm not broken. Alexander felt a smile. Noted, you're a partnership. And I'm paying you back, every cent. Emma, I mean it. Whatever arrangement we work out includes me eventually repaying debts. Fine, Alexander agreed, though he'd never collect. For now, let's focus on getting you healthy and making sure Lily has everything she needs. A nurse appeared. Ms. Chen, the NICU is ready. We have a wheelchair. Emma's entire face transformed. Yes, please. Getting Emma into the wheelchair was slow and painful. Finally, Emma was settled, hands gripping armrests. Would you like your friend to come? The nurse asked. Emma looked up at him. Would you? I'm nervous. I don't want to be alone. Of course, if you want me there, I'm there. The NICU was on the 4th floor. A world of beeping machines, incubators, tiny babies fighting for life. The nurse led them to premature infants, stopping at an incubator labeled Baby Girl Chen. She's doing beautifully, the nurse said softly. Breathing on her own strong heartbeat, she's a fighter. She's a... Alexander looked at the tiny baby and felt something shift. Lily was impossibly small, skin almost translucent, eyes closed, tiny fingers curled. She wore a pink and white striped hat. Monitors tracked every breath. But Emma's reaction truly moved him. She reached toward the incubator with trembling hands, tears streaming down her face. She's perfect, Emma whispered. You can touch her through the ports, the nurse explained. Talk to her. She knows your voice. Emma did, fingers gently stroking Lily's tiny arm. Hi, baby girl. Hi, Lily. It's Mama. I'm here. I'm right here. And I'm never leaving you, never. Alexander stood back. But when Emma looked up, face wet with tears, she reached out her free hand toward him. "Come here, please. I want you to meet her properly. Lily, this is Alexander. He's the reason you and I are both alive. He's our guardian angel." Alexander moved closer. He'd never been particularly interested in children, but something about Lily made him feel protective. "Hello, Lily," he said softly. "Welcome to the world." As if in response, Lily's tiny hand curled around Emma's finger. Both adults gasped at the strength of that small grip. "She's strong," the nurse said approvingly. "She'll need that strength, but I think she'll be just fine." They stayed over an hour. Alexander watched them together, mother and child, and felt the weight of commitment settling. This wasn't simple. Emma had no home, no job, no support system, and a premature baby needing constant care. The logical part of Alexander's brain screamed at him to extricate himself, but he couldn't. Whether it was his mother's voice, or something about Emma's fierce determination, or the way Lily's hand had gripped her mother's finger, Alexander knew he was in this for the long haul. Finally, Emma's eyes drooped, and the nurse suggested she needed rest. The goodbye was heart-wrenching, Emma kissing her fingers and pressing them to the incubator, whispering promises. Back in Emma's room, Alexander helped her into bed. It was past midnight. He hadn't eaten since lunch, but he wasn't particularly hungry. "Thank you," Emma said quietly, "for everything. You don't have to thank me. Just focus on healing." "What happens next?" Emma asked, fear in her voice. "The hospital will discharge me in a day or two. I can't go back to the shelter with a premature baby. I can't raise Lily there." "You're not going to," Alexander said firmly. "Like what? I have $53, no job, no apartment. How am I supposed to care for a baby?" Alexander thought fast. "First, you need somewhere stable to live, somewhere clean and safe. Apartments in New York cost thousands. What if housing wasn't an issue? What if I provided a place for you and Lily to live?" Emma's eyes widened. "I can't let you do that. I own several properties. There's a condo in Brooklyn that's been empty for months, 3 bedrooms, safe neighborhood. You'd be doing me a favor living there." "Alexander, I can't." "Yes, you can. Emma, listen. You're a mother now. Lily needs you to accept help when offered. Your pride can't keep Lily warm or fed or safe. Let me do this." Emma's resistance wavered. "What would you want in return?" "Nothing. Well, not nothing. I want you to focus on caring for yourself and Lily. I want you to consider going back to school eventually. I want you to build the life you would have had." "Why?" Emma whispered. "Because someone should. Because you deserve better. Because Lily deserves a mother who isn't constantly struggling. Because maybe my mother was right about the measure of a person." Emma was quiet so long, Alexander thought she'd fallen asleep. But when she finally spoke, her voice was thick with emotion. "Okay, I'll accept your help for Lily's sake, but I meant what I said about paying you back." "Deal," Alexander said. "Now rest. Tomorrow we'll start figuring out details." He stood to leave, but Emma's voice stopped him. "Alexander, will you come back? Tomorrow?" "I'll be here. First thing in the morning." He left as dawn was breaking. The storm finally passed. His car was exactly where he'd left it, somehow untowed. As he drove toward his penthouse, Alexander's phone buzzed with a voicemail from his father. He listened on speaker, hearing Richard Pierce's cold tones. "I heard about your detour last night. Missing important meetings for some homeless girl? We need to talk about your priorities, son." Alexander deleted the voicemail without responding. His father wouldn't understand the decision he'd made, but for the first time in his adult life, Alexander didn't care what Richard Pierce thought. He'd made a promise to Emma and Lily. Whatever that meant, he was committed now. As the sun rose over Manhattan, painting skyscrapers in shades of gold and pink, Alexander Pierce felt something he hadn't felt in years. Purpose. Not the hollow satisfaction of a successful deal, but real purpose. The sense that he was doing something that actually mattered. He had no idea how complicated things were about to become. All he knew was that he'd made a choice in the rain, and that choice had changed everything. And as he pulled into his building's underground garage, Alexander found himself smiling, genuinely smiling, for the first time in months. Alexander woke at 6 a.m. from habit. He showered, dressed casually in jeans and a button-down, and was back at Mount Sinai by 7:30 carrying coffee and bagels. Emma was awake, sitting up in bed. Her green eyes widened when she saw him. "You actually came back," she said, surprise making Alexander's heart ache. "I said I would." He held up the coffee and bagels. "Breakfast?" Emma's stomach growled audibly and she laughed. "I'm starving." They ate together in comfortable silence, Emma demolishing 2 bagels. Alexander watched her, noting the dark circles under her eyes. "So," Emma said finally, "about this apartment. Were you serious?" "Dead serious." Alexander pulled out his phone and showed her photos. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, Park Slope, good neighborhood. The building has a doorman and security. Emma scrolled through photos. "This place is gorgeous. It has to cost at least $3,000 a month. $4,000 actually, but that's not relevant because—" $4,000 a month, Emma interrupted, voice flat. "Alexander, that's insane. You're not letting me do anything. I'm offering." Alexander leaned forward. "Emma, you and Lily need stability. The apartment's just sitting empty." "Don't bullshit me," Emma said bluntly. "I might be poor, but I'm not stupid. You're offering charity." "Fine, yes, it's charity." "But Emma, sometimes pride is a luxury you can't afford. Lily needs a home. Are you really going to refuse help because it bruises your ego?" Emma flinched. "That's not fair." "No, but it's true." Alexander softened his tone. "You can hate accepting help, but you still need it. Let's figure out logistics." For a long moment, Emma just stared at him, but then she nodded slowly. "Okay, you're right. I hate it, but you're right." She took a shaky breath. "So, what are the logistics?" "First, focus on recovering and bonding with Lily. The doctor said she'll need to stay in NICU for at least 2 weeks. During that time, I'll get the apartment ready, furnish the nursery, stock the kitchen." "I don't have any baby supplies," Emma said, anxiety creeping in. "No crib, no clothes, no diapers, nothing. Make a list and I'll handle it." "You make it sound so easy." "Isn't that what money's for? Using it to make life easier for people who need it?" "Most rich people don't see it that way." "Yeah, well, I'm trying to be different." Alexander's phone buzzed. He ignored it. "What about your medical care? You'll need follow-up appointments." "I don't have health insurance. I'm adding you and Lily to my company's health plan as dependents. It's done. I called my HR department this morning." Emma's eyes widened. "You did what?" "You needed insurance. I provided it." "But won't people ask questions?" Alexander shrugged. "Let them wonder. I own the company." "Must be nice," Emma muttered, "having that kind of power." "It has advantages, though my father would say I'm wasting it on misguided humanitarian impulses." "Your father sounds like a piece of work." "That's putting it mildly. He's going to hate what I'm doing for you." "Then why do it?" "Because my relationship with my father has always been conditional. He loves me when I'm useful. My mother loved me unconditionally, and I think she'd want me to help you." Emma was quiet. "You really loved her, didn't you?" "More than anything. She was the best person I've ever known, kind, generous, always seeing the good in people." Alexander smiled sadly. "My father said her kindness was a weakness. I think her kindness was her strength. I wish I could have met her. She would have liked you, would have admired your courage." A nurse appeared. "Ms. Chen?" The NICU called. "Lily's awake and fussy." Emma was out of bed before the nurse finished speaking. Alexander followed as she practically ran to the NICU. Lily was indeed awake, her tiny face scrunched up. Emma's face transformed with joy. "Hi, baby," Emma cooed, slipping her hands through the incubator ports. "Hi, sweet girl. Mama's here." Alexander hung back, but Emma surprised him by calling him over. "Come here. I want to teach you something." "Teach me what?" "How to interact with her. You're going to be around a lot, right? Then you need to know the basics." Emma guided his hands. "Always support her head. Preemies are even more fragile. Touch is important." Alexander's hands trembled as they touched Lily's tiny body. She was so small. "It's okay," Emma said softly. "You won't hurt her. She's tougher than she looks." As if to prove the point, Lily's tiny hand wrapped around Alexander's finger. He felt something shift in his chest. "She likes you," Emma observed, smiling. She knows you're safe. How can she know that? She's barely a day old. Babies know things. They sense emotions, energy. Lily can tell you care. Emma's voice grew softer. Thank you for caring, Alexander. They spent 2 hours in the NICU. The nurses watched with barely concealed curiosity. Finally, a doctor approached with a serious expression. Miss Chen, Mr. Pierce, could we speak privately? They followed the doctor to a consultation room. Alexander felt Emma tense, her hand reaching for his. He took it, squeezing gently. Is something wrong with Lily? Emma asked immediately. No, Lily's doing beautifully, the doctor assured them. This is about something else, a social services matter. Emma's hand tightened on Alexander's. What kind of matter? The doctor looked uncomfortable. Ms. Chen, given your housing situation, the hospital is required to notify Child Protective Services. It's standard procedure. You're taking my baby. Emma's voice rose. You can't take my baby. Nobody's taking anyone, Alexander said firmly. Dr. Ms. Chen has housing secured, a safe, stable environment. CPS won't find any grounds for intervention. The doctor looked skeptical. Mr. Pierce, Ms. Chen's file indicates she's been homeless for months. Even if you've offered temporary help, not temporary, Alexander interrupted. Permanent. Ms. Chen will be living in a property I own in Park Slope. She has health insurance through my company, financial support. I'm prepared to provide documentation. Emma was trembling, tears streaming. Please don't take her, please. I'll do anything, but please don't take my baby. The doctor's expression softened. Miss Chen, I'm not trying to take your baby. If Mr. Pierce can document what he's claiming, then there's no problem. But I need proof. CPS will need proof. You'll have it, Alexander said, by the end of the day. After the doctor left, Emma collapsed into a chair, shaking with sobs. They're going to take her. No, they're not. Alexander crouched in front of her, taking both her hands. Emma, look at me. They're not taking Lily. I promised I'd help you, and I meant it. How can you stop them? Once they start investigating, they'll decide I'm unfit. They'll put Lily in foster care. That's not going to happen, Alexander said. But we need to move fast. I need to make some calls, get documentation together, talk to a lawyer. A lawyer? Emma's eyes widened. Alexander, lawyers cost thousands. I can, Alexander said simply. Emma, you need to trust me. Let me use them. Emma searched his face. Finally, she nodded. Okay, but Alexander, if this doesn't work, if they take Lily, I don't know what I'll do. She's everything. Then we make sure it works, Alexander said. He stood up, pulling out his phone. I'm calling my lawyer right now. You stay here with Lily. Don't talk to anyone from CPS without me or legal representation, understand? I understand. Alexander stepped into the hallway and dialed Marcus Hendricks. Marcus answered on the second ring, voice groggy. This better be important, Alex. It's Sunday morning. It is. I need you to come to Mount Sinai Hospital immediately. And bring someone who specializes in family law and CPS cases. What the hell have you gotten yourself into? Marcus asked, suddenly alert. Something complicated. Something important. Can you be here in an hour? Make it 90 minutes. I'll bring Sarah Chen from the firm, but Alex, you need to give me some context. Alexander quickly explained the situation. Let me get this straight, Marcus said. You picked up a homeless pregnant girl in the rain last night, paid for her emergency delivery, and now you're providing her with housing and trying to prevent CPS from taking her baby? Have you lost your mind? Maybe, Alexander admitted. Probably. But I made a commitment, Marcus. Can you help or not? Of course I can help, but Alex, this is complicated. CPS doesn't just back off because some rich guy offers to play hero. They're going to investigate thoroughly. Then we don't give them any reason to doubt, Alexander said. We document everything, create an airtight case. That's going to require more than just housing and insurance, Marcus warned. They'll want to see proof of emotional stability, support systems. This isn't a simple fix. I know, but it's the right thing to do, Marcus sighed. You sound like your mother. She always led with her heart too. Is that a bad thing? Not bad. Just complicated. Okay, I'm getting dressed now. We'll be there in 90 minutes. In the meantime, don't let Emma talk to anyone without representation. And Alex, be prepared for your father to find out about this. Let him find out, Alexander said. I don't care anymore. He returned to Emma's room. She sat on the bed, face pale with worry. When she saw him, she looked up with desperate hope. What did your lawyer say? He's coming, bringing a family law specialist. They'll be here in 90 minutes. Alexander sat beside her. Emma, they're going to ask you a lot of questions. You need to be completely honest, even about the hard stuff. Can you do that? Emma nodded. I don't have anything to hide. My past is a disaster, but it's all true. Is that going to hurt me? I don't know, Alexander admitted, but lying would hurt you more. The truth, no matter how difficult, is better. What if the truth isn't good enough? Emma whispered. What if they decide I'm not fit to be a mother? Then they're idiots who don't understand what strength and love look like, Alexander said fiercely. Emma, you chose your daughter over everything else. You endured months of hardship to keep her safe. That's not the actions of an unfit mother. That's the actions of a hero. Emma laughed bitterly. I don't feel like a hero. You're not a failure. You're a survivor. There's a difference. Alexander stood up, pacing. We're going to get through this, Emma, together. And when it's over, when Lily's safe and you're settled in the apartment, we're going to make sure your story has a happy ending. Real life doesn't have happy endings, Emma said softly. Maybe it's time to change that narrative, Alexander said. He checked his watch. The lawyers will be here soon. Until then, why don't we go see Lily? They returned to the NICU. This time Emma asked if she could hold her daughter. The nurses carefully removed Lily from the incubator, placing her in Emma's arms. Alexander watched as Emma cradled Lily against her chest, tears streaming, whispering promises. I'm going to give you everything, baby girl. Everything I never had. You're going to grow up safe and loved and happy. I promise. I promise, my sweet Lily. In that moment, watching Emma with her daughter, Alexander knew he'd made the right choice stopping in the rain. Whatever complications lay ahead, this pure love between mother and child was worth protecting. His phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. On our way, prepare for war. CPS doesn't back down easily. CPS doesn't. Alexander looked at Emma and Lily, this fragile, beautiful unit, and felt his resolve harden. Let CPS come. Let his father disapprove. Let the whole world question his decision. Alexander Pierce had found something worth fighting for, something more important than money or status. He'd found purpose, and he wasn't letting go. Marcus Hendricks arrived 90 minutes later with Sarah Chen, a sharp-eyed attorney carrying a leather briefcase. They swept into Emma's hospital room with quiet authority. Alexander, Marcus said, extending his hand, you've certainly found yourself in an interesting situation. Marcus, Sarah, thank you for coming. Alexander gestured toward Emma. This is Emma Chen. Sarah moved forward immediately, her expression softening. Ms. Chen, I'm Sarah Chen. I specialize in family law and CPS cases. I'm here to make sure you and your daughter stay together. Emma's eyes filled with tears. Can you really do that? That depends. I need you to be completely honest with me. Everything you tell me is protected by attorney-client privilege, understood? For the next hour, Sarah questioned Emma methodically. Where had she been living? How had she been supporting herself? Medical history, criminal records, substance abuse, mental health issues? Emma answered truthfully, her voice sometimes breaking when she described the shelters, the nights sleeping in subway stations, the constant fear and hunger. And the father? Marcus Way. Tell me about him. Emma's hands clenched. He's from a wealthy family in California. When I told him I was pregnant, he denied it was his baby. His family hired lawyers, sent me a cease and desist letter. Sarah's expression hardened. Do you have any evidence that Marcus is the father? Text messages from when we were dating, photos of us together, but no proof of paternity. I couldn't afford a DNA test. We'll deal with that later, Sarah said, making notes. Right now our priority is making sure CPS doesn't have grounds to remove Lily. Mr. Pierce has told me he's offering you housing and financial support. Is that correct? Yes, Emma said quietly. Sarah turned to Alexander. I need documentation of everything. Lease agreements, proof of insurance, financial statements. And Emma, this investigation is going to be invasive. They'll ask personal questions, inspect your living space, evaluate your fitness as a mother. But I am fit, Emma said desperately. I love my daughter. I chose her over everything. They can say you're not fit because you've been homeless, Sarah said bluntly. That's why we need to build a case that shows you have resources now, stability, a future. Marcus cleared his throat. There's another issue. Alex, your father is going to find out about this. Hospital records, legal documents, these things leave paper trails. And when Richard finds out, he won't be happy. I don't care what my father thinks, Alexander said firmly. Maybe you should, Marcus said. Richard controls the board of Pierce Industries. If he decides you're making poor decisions, using company resources inappropriately, he could make things difficult. For Emma and Lily too. Alexander's jaw tightened. Are you saying I should abandon them? I'm saying you need to be prepared for consequences, Marcus said. Sarah interrupted. Gentlemen, can we focus? We have a CPS investigation to prepare for. Emma, I need you to make a list of anyone who can vouch for your character. Former employers, teachers, friends. Emma's face fell. I don't really have anyone. My parents disowned me. My friends stopped talking to me. The only people who know me now are other women from the shelter. What about professors from NYU? People you worked with before you dropped out? Maybe, Emma said hesitantly. There was one professor, Dr. Martinez. She was always kind to me. But that was 2 years ago. We'll find her, Sarah said. Anyone else? There was a woman at one of the restaurants where I worked, Maria. She was nice to me even when I was struggling. That's good. We'll reach out to her too. What about medical records? Did you have any prenatal care? Emma shook her head. Not really. I went to a free clinic a few times, but I missed a lot of appointments. Sarah frowned. That's not ideal, but we'll work with it. A knock on the door interrupted them. A woman in a business suit entered, carrying a clipboard. Ms. Chen, I'm Janet Rodriguez from Child Protective Services. I understand there are concerns about your living situation. Emma's face went white. She reached for Alexander's hand. Sarah stood immediately. Ms. Rodriguez, I'm Sarah Chen, Ms. Chen's attorney. I'm here to ensure that this investigation is conducted fairly. Janet's eyebrows rose. Ms. Chen has retained counsel already. That was fast. My client has friends who care about her welfare, Sarah said smoothly. As you're aware, Ms. Chen has secured stable housing and health insurance. She also has financial support from Mr. Pierce, who has known the family for some time. Alexander nearly choked at that distortion, but kept his expression neutral. Janet made notes. I see. Well, I'll need to conduct a full investigation. That will include interviewing Ms. Chen, inspecting the proposed living arrangements, and evaluating whether the environment is suitable for an infant. Of course, Sarah said. However, I want to make it clear that there are no grounds for emergency removal. Ms. Emites, Chen has committed no crime, has no history of abuse or neglect. Janet's expression didn't change. The investigation will be thorough and impartial. I'll be in touch to schedule home visits and interviews. In the meantime, the infant will remain in the NICU under medical supervision. After Janet left, Emma burst into tears. She thinks I'm a terrible mother. She's going to take Lily away. No, she's not, Sarah said firmly. Janet Rodriguez is doing her job, but we're going to make sure she finds nothing that justifies removing Lily from your care, starting right now. Over the next several hours, Sarah and Marcus worked with precision. Marcus drafted lease agreements for the Brooklyn apartment, backdating them. Sarah contacted character witnesses. Alexander made calls to his property management company. By late afternoon, they had assembled an impressive portfolio. Lease agreements, proof of insurance, letters of recommendation, financial statements, medical records, photos of the Brooklyn apartment. This is good, Sarah said, reviewing everything. This shows stability, resources, support. But Emma, you need to understand something. This investigation is going to be invasive. I can do it, Emma said, though her voice shook. I'll do whatever it takes. There's one more thing, Sarah said. We need to address the paternity issue. If Marcus Way is the father, he has legal responsibilities, child support, at minimum. Emma shook her head. No, I don't want anything from Marcus or his family. I understand that, Sarah said, but child support isn't for you, it's for Lily. It's money that could pay for her food, clothes, medical care, education. But they'll fight it, Emma said. They'll drag me through court, destroy whatever credibility I have left. They don't have better lawyers than me, Sarah said with a slight smile, and they don't have the moral high ground. A wealthy young man gets a girl pregnant and abandons her. That won't play well. Alexander listened, feeling his anger growing. What kind of person did that? We don't have to pursue paternity right now, Sarah said. Our first priority is making sure CPS doesn't remove Lily. But Emma, think about it. You're not just fighting for yourself anymore. You're fighting for your daughter's future. A nurse appeared. Ms. Chen, the NICU called. Lily's vitals are good, and they'd like you to try skin-to-skin contact. It's important for premature infants. Emma's face lit up. Yes, I want to see her. They all went to the NICU. When they reached Lily's incubator, the nurse carefully removed the tiny infant and placed her on Emma's bare chest. Lily's tiny face relaxed immediately. Her breathing steadied. The monitors showed her heart rate stabilizing. It was as if she knew she was safe, loved, exactly where she belonged. Alexander watched Emma with her daughter, saw the tears streaming down her face, the fierce protective love in her expression. We're going to win this, he said quietly to Sarah. Whatever it takes, we're going to make sure Emma and Lily stay together. Sarah looked at him with respect. You really care about them, don't you? Yes, Alexander said. Good, Sarah said, because what you're doing here is going to change their lives, but it's also going to change yours. Once you become part of their lives, you can't just walk away when things get difficult. Are you prepared? Alexander looked at Emma cradling Lily, at the tiny infant who had gripped his finger with surprising strength. Yes, he said, I'm prepared. As evening fell over Manhattan, as the sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, Alexander Pierce stood in a hospital NICU and felt the weight of the commitment he'd made. Whatever challenges lay ahead, CPS investigations, his father's disapproval, the complications of integrating Emma and Lily into his life, he would face them. Because for the first time in years, Alexander Pierce was doing something that truly mattered, and he wasn't going to let anyone take that away. 2 weeks passed in preparation and anxiety. Alexander threw himself into getting the Brooklyn apartment ready. He hired a decorator who specialized in nurseries, bought every recommended baby item, and stocked the place with supplies. Emma remained in the hospital, recovering and spending every moment in the NICU with Lily. The doctors were pleased with the baby's progress. Alexander visited daily, bringing meals, keeping her company, learning infant care. Sarah conducted mock interviews with Emma, preparing her for CPS investigation. They practiced answers, reviewed Emma's story until she could tell it without breaking down. Marcus handled legal documentation. On day 8, Janet Rodriguez conducted her first formal interview. She questioned Emma for 3 hours. Sarah sat beside Emma the entire time, making sure Janet didn't cross any legal lines. Why didn't you terminate the pregnancy? Janet asked. You were homeless, alone, with no resources. Emma's hands clenched, but her voice was steady. I considered it. My parents wanted me to, but every time I felt her kick, I couldn't do it. She was my daughter. She deserved a chance at life, even if I had to sacrifice everything. And Mr. Pierce, Janet said, turning to Alexander, how did you come to be involved in Miss Chen's life? I saw her collapse in the rain, Alexander said. I drove her to the hospital. When I learned about her situation, I offered to help. And your interest in Miss Chen is purely charitable. You're not in a romantic relationship? No, Alexander said firmly. We're friends. She needed help. Janet made notes. I'll need to inspect the apartment before I can make my recommendation. I'll also need to observe Miss Chen caring for the infant. Of course, Sarah said smoothly. After Janet left, Emma slumped. She doesn't believe us. She's suspicious by nature, Sarah said. It's her job. But we haven't given her any evidence of wrongdoing. On day 10, Alexander's father called. What the hell are you doing, Alexander? Richard's voice was cold with fury. I've been hearing reports that you've put some homeless girl on company insurance. Have you lost your mind? I'm helping someone who needs it, Alexander said, walking out so Emma wouldn't overhear. That's not our problem, Richard snapped. Our problem is running a profitable company. You're making us look soft. I'm choosing to help Emma and her daughter, regardless of what you think. She's using you, Richard said. Some pretty young girl with a sad story, and you're falling for it like a fool. Lily isn't my daughter, Alexander said through gritted teeth. And Emma isn't using me. So a good person who got pregnant and ended up homeless, Richard countered. That's a disaster waiting to happen. I'm done discussing this, Alexander said. Emma and Lily are my responsibility now. Then you're a fool, Richard said, and fools don't last long in business. The call left Alexander shaking with anger but more determined. His father's cruelty only strengthened his resolve. On day 12, Lily was cleared for discharge. The doctors were optimistic but cautious, weekly checkups, careful monitoring. Emma listened intently to all instructions. On day 14, Janet Rodriguez came to inspect the Brooklyn apartment. Alexander had made sure everything was perfect. Janet walked through every room, making notes, checking safety features. "And if the baby gets sick in the middle of the night?" Janet asked. "There's a 24-hour urgent care clinic 3 blocks away," Emma said, "and Mount Sinai's emergency room is 15 minutes by car. I have the pediatrician's number programmed." And Alexander said he'd make sure I always have access to a car service. "And Mr. Pierce," Janet said, turning to Alexander, "you're providing all this support out of charity?" "I'm providing it because it's the right thing to do," Alexander said. Janet studied him. "No, Mr. Pierce, it's very complicated. But I'll admit, I've rarely seen someone go to such lengths. Either you're extraordinarily generous or there's something else going on." "There's nothing else," Alexander said firmly. After Janet left, Emma collapsed on the couch. "She still doesn't believe us." "Let her think whatever she wants," Alexander said. "As long as she can't find evidence of wrongdoing, her suspicions don't matter." "But what if she recommends foster care?" Emma's voice broke. "Then we fight it," Alexander said. "We appeal. We go to court if necessary." Emma looked up at him, tears streaming. "Why are you doing this, really?" Alexander sat beside her. "Do you remember what I told you about my mother? How she said the measure of a person was how they treated people who couldn't do anything for them?" Emma nodded. "For years after she died, I ignored that wisdom. I became like my father. But then I saw you in the rain and something in me woke up. I remembered who I wanted to be." Emma was quiet. Then she took his hand. "Thank you for everything." "You don't have to repay me," Alexander said. "Just focus on being the mother Lily needs." On day 15, Sarah called with news. Janet Rodriguez has submitted her preliminary report. She's not recommending immediate removal. However, she's proposing supervised monitoring for 6 months, with regular home visits and mandatory parenting classes. "That's it?" Alexander asked. "She's letting Emma keep Lily?" "For now," Sarah said. "But Emma will be under scrutiny. This isn't over, Alex. It's just beginning." When Alexander told Emma the news, she burst into tears of relief and joy. "I get to keep her. I get to bring Lily home. You get to keep her," Alexander confirmed. "You did it, Emma. You fought for your daughter, and you won." That evening, they brought Lily home from the hospital. The tiny infant was dressed in a pale yellow onesie, wrapped in soft blankets, her eyes wide and curious as Emma carried her into the Brooklyn apartment for the first time. Alexander watched as Emma walked through each room, showing Lily her new home, whispering promises. The nursery made Emma cry again. It was so beautiful, so perfect. "She's going to grow up here," Emma said softly. "She's going to be safe and warm and loved. She'll never know what it's like to be hungry or cold or scared. I'm going to make sure of it." "We're going to make sure of it," Alexander corrected gently. Emma looked at him seriously. "Alex, I need you to promise me something. Promise me that you'll tell me if this becomes too much. If you want your life back. I can't handle being abandoned again." Alexander met her gaze steadily. "I'm not leaving, Emma. I promised I'd help you, and I keep my promises. You and Lily are part of my life now. That's not changing." Emma nodded slowly, wanting to believe him but still guarded. But Alexander meant every word. Over the past 2 weeks, Emma and Lily had become more than just a responsibility. They'd become his purpose. And as he watched Emma sing softly to Lily in the perfect nursery, Alexander felt something he hadn't felt since his mother's death. He felt like he belonged to something bigger than himself. He'd found his family, not through blood or marriage, but through choice. The choice he'd made in the rain to stop, to help, to care. And he was never letting go. 3 months passed. Spring turned to summer, and the Brooklyn apartment became home. Emma settled into motherhood with determination, attending every parenting class, keeping meticulous records, never missing a pediatric appointment. Janet Rodriguez conducted monthly visits, each time leaving with fewer concerns. Lily thrived. She gained weight steadily, her development milestones coming on schedule. First smile at 6 weeks, first laugh at 8 weeks, holding her head up at 10 weeks. Emma documented everything. Alexander was there for all of it. He came by almost daily, bringing groceries, helping with late-night feedings, learning how to soothe Lily. The pediatrician's office started assuming he was Lily's father, and he stopped correcting them. It felt true. His relationship with Emma evolved. They were genuine friends now, talking for hours while Lily slept. Emma told him about her passion for medicine, her dream of being a pediatrician. Alexander told her about building his company, but also about the emptiness that had haunted him. "Do you ever think about going back to school?" Alexander asked one evening. Emma looked down at Lily. "Sometimes, but I can't right now, and I'd never get back into NYU." "What if you could?" Alexander asked. Emma looked up sharply. "Alex, don't. You've already done so much. I can't let you pay for my education." "Why not? I have the money. You have the intelligence and drive." "Because it's too much," Emma said. "Because at some point I need to stand on my own 2 feet." "It's not medical school," Alexander pointed out. "Just undergraduate, and you'd be working toward independence." "Isn't that what you want?" Emma was quiet, stroking Lily's hair. "It's what I want. But I'm scared. What if I fail? What if I disappoint you?" "You won't fail," Alexander said with certainty. "You're one of the strongest people I've ever met." Over the next few weeks, Alexander worked behind the scenes. He reached out to NYU's administration, explaining Emma's situation. He offered to establish a scholarship in his mother's name, with Emma as the first recipient. He leveraged every connection. It worked. NYU agreed to readmit Emma for fall semester, with a full scholarship. When Alexander told her, Emma cried, laughed, hugged him. "You're giving me my life back. How do I thank you?" "By being the best damn doctor this city has ever seen," Alexander said, grinning. But not everything was perfect. Alexander's father continued his disapproval, working quietly to undermine Alexander's position at Pierce Industries. Marcus warned Alexander that Richard was planning something. "You need to focus, Alex," Marcus said. "I know Emma and Lily are important, but you're the CEO of a $300 million company." "I'm just redistributing my priorities," Alexander said. "Your father is going to use this against you," Marcus warned. But privately, Alexander worried. He'd been so focused on Emma and Lily that he'd lost sight of everything else. The crisis came in late June. One of Pierce Industries' major clients pulled their contract, citing concerns about Alexander's distracted leadership. It was a $10 million loss. Richard called an emergency board meeting. Alexander knew what was coming. His father was going to move against him. The night before the meeting, Alexander sat in Emma's living room, holding Lily. "My father is trying to force me out of my own company." Emma's face paled. "Because of me? Because he thinks I've lost focus, and maybe he's right." "Then stop," Emma said immediately. "Stop helping us. Focus on your company." Alexander looked at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. "What? No. Emma, I'm not abandoning you and Lily." "You're not abandoning us," Emma said. "Your company is your life's work, Alex." "My company is just money," Alexander said. "You and Lily are family." The word hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "We're not your family," she said softly. "We're people you helped, but that doesn't make us your responsibility forever." "This is my real life," Alexander said fiercely. "This, right here with you and Lily. That's more real than any board meeting or business deal." "But it's costing you everything," Emma said. "I don't regret a single second," Alexander said. The board meeting was brutal. Richard presented his case with cold precision. The debate raged for hours. Finally, the chairman called for a vote. It was close. But when the votes were counted, Alexander had survived. By a narrow margin, The board had decided to give him another chance. When Alexander returned to Brooklyn, Emma was waiting anxiously. "What happened?" "I survived," Alexander said. "For now." Emma sagged with relief. "But Emma, my father isn't going to stop. This is going to get worse before it gets better." "Then maybe I should leave," Emma said. "No," Alexander said firmly. "We're going to fight this together." Over the next few months, Alexander worked to prove his father wrong. He threw himself back into the company, reclaiming lost contracts, securing new clients. He promoted capable executives, freeing himself to focus on strategy while still making time for Emma and Lily. Emma started classes in September. She thrived. Her professors were impressed by her dedication. She made Dean's List her first semester. On Lily's first birthday, they threw a small party. Lily smashed cake all over her face, laughed when Alexander sang off-key. It was perfect. As the evening wound down, Emma said, "Alex, I need to tell you something. I contacted Marcus Way. I filed for paternity and child support." Alexander turned to stare at her. "What? When?" "Last month. Sarah helped me. And I didn't tell you because I knew you'd want to protect me. But you were right. Lily deserves support from both her parents." "What happened?" "His family tried to fight it, but Sarah demolished their arguments. The test confirmed Marcus is Lily's father. Now he's legally obligated to pay child support." "I'm proud of you," Alexander said. "I learned from the best," Emma said, smiling. Alexander felt something shift in his chest. Over the past year, he'd watched Emma transform. But somewhere along the way, his feelings had evolved too. He was in love with her, but he couldn't tell her. Not yet. She needed time to build her own life, to be independent. So Alexander kept his realization to himself, content to watch Emma and Lily flourish. On a cold December evening, almost 15 months after that rainy night, Emma came home to find Alexander playing with Lily. She stood in the doorway, watching them together. "Hey," Emma said softly. "Hey, how were classes?" "Good. Hard, but good." Emma joined them on the floor. Lily immediately crawled over to her. "She missed you," Alexander said. "I missed her too," Emma said. "Alex, I need to tell you something else." "Okay," Alexander said, suddenly nervous. "I've been thinking about everything you've done for us, and I realized something." Emma took a deep breath. "I love you." Alexander froze. "Emma, let me finish," Emma said. "I'm not telling you this because I feel obligated. I'm telling you because it's true. I love you, Alexander Pierce. I love your kindness and your strength. I love the way you are with Lily. I love you, and I needed you to know." Alexander felt his eyes burning with tears. "Emma, I love you too. God, I've loved you for months." "You could never pressure me," Emma said, moving closer. "You've only ever given me choices, and I'm choosing you, Alex, if you'll have us." Alexander pulled her close, careful not to crush Lily. "I've already had you, both of you. You've been mine since the moment I stopped in the rain." They sat there on the living room floor, the three of them together, a family born not from blood but from choice, the choice to stop, to help, to care, to love. Outside, snow began to fall over Brooklyn. Inside, Emma and Alexander kissed while Lily clapped her hands and laughed. The journey that had started with a storm and a stranger on a sidewalk had led here, to love, to family, to home. And as Alexander held Emma and Lily close, he knew that every decision, every sacrifice, every moment of doubt had been worth it. He'd found his purpose, he'd found his family, he'd found himself, and he was never letting go.